Today we've got setups for DOT, Dash, Neo and low cap funfair, plus stick around until the end as I've also got a TRX short setup just for you. But let's jump in. Hi, I'm Paul with ArcisFX, 5 altcoin setups for you this week, and let's try and do it fastball. First up, we've got Polkadot, DOT, USDT, 4-hour chart. Now we have a double bottom, which is kind of straddling this diagonal resistance line, which the price action has since broken out of. We have nice confluence with the neckline, with the 200 MA on the 4-hour chart fast coming in. So if we do get a break, we could confirm the double bottom whilst also breaking above the 200 MA as well. So this would be a great little entrance point. So you can see here, here's the idea for that one. Now we'll be looking to take profits at around 3.463. Pretty conservative, but it's only the 8th of November since we were last back at this price point. So it's perfectly reasonable for the price action if we do get confirmation of upwards momentum here to reach this point, but probably want to take profits there as opposed to waiting for higher prices, as the price action of course has been struggling since the October crash. But of course you've also got the option of coming in with a support buy, which is where we are at the moment, as this actually represents, if you just switch to the daily chart, it actually represents long-term support if you ignore the October crash wick, which you can see was quite devastating, but there's a very quick recovery. So we don't want to be overcommitting, but a really straightforward breakout play for a double bottom, and the alternative would be a hard support buy, accumulating as close to $2 as you can. So a couple of good options for DOT. Next up, we've got Dash USDT 6-hour chart. Now, we had this very powerful run up at the beginning of November, and this, of course, this area, which is around $38, $39, $40, was the launching off point. So I've highlighted this area here again for another potential support buy here, with potentially a stop loss underneath the range below, just to give you a bit of flexibility there. But also, if you do prefer to wait for confirmation, as the price action does seem to be curving round like this, ultimately we have this upper resistance area which would form as a nice line in the sand for bullish continuation. So if we do get a break above here, ideally we would like to come up to at least the next range above, so we have a strong breakout. That's always the way, and then we look to come back in on the retest, and that would be this play here. We're looking for an entry on the flip side of a breakout at around $52, $51. But also, like with DOT, you have the option of coming in at support if we do come back down to here. Now it's pretty good support, as this is essentially the flip side of the previous accumulation range, but it's not all-time support like it was with DOT. But because we haven't tapped it for a month and a half, there will be some buys there which will potentially give you a little bit of a bounce. Now you may just want to trade this range coming in at support here, and it's just for a quick 32%, or if you want to front run a potential breakout here, you could look to come in at support and then take profits a little bit here. So these are just guides to follow. Obviously use your own strategy, play it the way you want, but essentially again with Dash we have a option of a local support buy to front run a potential breakout, or you can just come in at support just to trade this little bit of range, this range between around $39 and $52, or we've got the simple breakout play of the range which we're in, which of course would mean you wait for a break and then come back in on the flip side, and that'll be this play looking to come in at a retest buy at around $52. But just a warning here, of course, if with Dash you do see a very small breakout, that's probably insufficient to give you reason to come in for a retest here. You really want to see quite a strong buy with maybe a little bit of volume as well, which we haven't had yet. So strong breakout, look to come in on the retest around 52, or a local support buy. That's Dash. But just a reminder, these setups are hand-picked coins and tokens with real trading potential based on technical analysis and probabilities, available on both centralized and decentralized exchanges. The altcoin market, of course, follows Bitcoin's direction, so don't miss context. Make sure you subscribe to catch our latest Bitcoin update video for the full picture before you trade. And we also now have a new members-only Crypto Pulse series, with Friday's release each week dedicated to checking in with Bitcoin and its most recent price action at the back end of the week, which will hopefully act as a nice companion piece to this video. So be sure to check that out if you're not already a member. Next up, we've got Neo with a double bottom. This time, the double bottom has formed on the flip side of the breakout of this diagonal resistance line. This wasn't a very significant diagonal resistance line, and I think I may actually have had got the line a little bit wrong here. So let's just correct that. Right, yeah, so there you go. I think that's a little bit better. This was the October crash. We've been trading in this range, and now we have come back down to support. Now let's just double check what sort of support we're looking at as well. So yeah, this is also very significant support for the price action. Haven't been there really since the pandemic crash back in March 2020. And if you ignore this wick for the October crash we had this year, then Neo is essentially right at support. So we do have a couple of plays here. Again, very similar structures at the moment from the market. So we could have, let's just adapt that. There's a reason why I put it there. Okay, so there we go. We have potentially a support buy here. Not all support lines are created equal, and this one, because it's pretty much the lowest Neo's been, if you ignore, as I said, the October crash, this support line does have confluence in itself because of its significance. So it's not just a support line, it's a support line with significance. And therefore, you can comfortably try and come in at this area with a little bit of safety, right? And at least it's manageable in terms of risk, because as I always say, if we do, of course, lose this level and we come down from here, you'll most likely get the bearish retest before it heads down, as it's a very significant level. And of course, bulls and people involved in the token will not want it to drop that low. So this is why it's safe sometimes to come in at support, especially when the market is hesitant like it is at the moment. So that's this play here. You've also got the double bottom neckline, which can act as bullish confirmation if you prefer to wait for that. So we'll just have a breakout of there and then to come back in on the retest. Really straightforward up to the top of this range. Really simple setup for Neo. You've got the option of a support buy between around $4 and $3.9, or you just wait for the breakout of the double bottom neckline and then trade it that way. All of which are pretty good options for Neo. Next up, we've got Funfair USDT 4-hour chart. This is a low cap, and just to show you the big picture before we continue, we are again, like a lot of these tokens at the moment, we're not far off long-term support. So here's support below, and that is essentially around 0.001. And you can see, because it's a low cap, it really does like to move when we get bullish confirmation from the market. This was just where we were in the summer, which is essentially about 1,000% up from where we are now. So that's just a context. But if we zoom back in just to see the pattern which we've got to potentially trade. Now, if you are looking at Funfair as a potential midterm hold for whenever and if ever altcoin season arrives, then you may just want to wait, of course, for this lower support area here, which represents all-time lows for the price action. As you can see, this line is around 0.001070. So you could just take this setup, put it in your back pocket, put an alert on this line, which I've done, and then just wait. But also, I'm looking to trade this as a short-term play just between here and here. And it's still quite a significant amount of about 35% play. And we were last here just at the end of November. So we do have a double bottom. It's not the strongest of double bottoms. This looks like it's a lower low slightly, but we had a move back up to the range, which confirms essentially the potential for a reversal. But again, bearing in mind this is a low cap, so these sort of moves look quite impressive. The reality is you shouldn't look at it the same way as potentially like a move out of Bitcoin like this, right? It's not as bullish necessarily, but it is essentially a bounce and a move up from this range, and now we have a falling wedge with nice 200 MA confluence. So ultimately, if we do see the price action break out from here, ideally again back above that neckline of the double bottom, clearly above the 200 MA, and then look for a retest back down at around potentially 0.002083 or around that area. The line is actually at 0.002091, but anywhere in this area will be fine, but it needs to be, of course, on the flip side of the 200 MA. So if the 200 MA is a little bit higher, then it's okay to start coming in at that price point as well, which may be closer to around 0.0021. But I don't want to get too lost in the decimals, right? But a nice little range play for Funfair, but also, as I said, it could also act as a nice midterm hold or even a long-term hold, waiting potentially for a move back down to support. But of course, if we do get some bullish signals from the market and Bitcoin over the next few days, then Funfair isn't going to come back down here. It's going to try and head up from here, as we do have signs of a potential reversal. But remember, it is a low cap, so smaller positions here.
Hi there, I'm James. I'm the founder of ArcisFX. I'd like to personally invite you to join our 24/7 trading group. This is built for traders who want an edge. Inside, you'll get access to live calls on Forex, commodities, crypto, energies, and metals, along with exclusive daily analysis designed to unlock your trading potential. And this in both traditional and now in digital markets. I'm talking Bitcoin, crypto, altcoins, and tethered currencies. You'll gain early access to insider news, real-time updates, real-time support, and premium educational content. If you want to sharpen your skills and boost your success rate, then join me and Paul in this community. This is a fast-growing community of traders who are now writing their own success stories. So don't wait. Join up now. Your edge starts right here.
But finally today, we have a short setup with TRX USDT 4-hour chart. Now, this was previously a long play, which invalidated. It was a bump and run play. This diagonal support line has been unable to keep the price action propped up, and we've now headed down from here. Now, it's very possible that if Bitcoin makes a move, we could make a recovery play up here like this. But right now, it is a short setup, and you'd be looking essentially for a short entrance at around this line here, which is 0.2799, essentially 0.28, right? And you'll be just wanting for that retest of that, and then you're looking to maybe come back down and take profits just around here. Just a very short little play, what that looks to be around 2711. Just on the presumption that Tron is going to come back down to retest the flip side of this diagonal trend line, which was acting previously as resistance, because you'll notice we haven't actually tapped it yet. So the bump and run strategy failed. This diagonal support line couldn't hold, and now the price action is stuck below it. So wait for the price action to come back up and retest this area. Some of you may decide to actually wait for it to come back up again and retest the diagonal resistance on the flip side, just to give yourself a higher price point and just have a little bit more of safety in case it decides to flip in the wrong direction and commit to something like that, and then look to take profits down here, right? So that would be essentially a little bit higher up, maybe flush with the 50. So there's a couple of options here, and you can reverse scale into this. So you could look for a short entrance here, and then look for a short entrance here, and then ride it down from there. And that obviously will give you some more options if the price action does decide to reverse from here. But I remind you that Tron TRX has been in a strong downtrend, and this breakout has come on just a little bit of bullish fervor approaching FOMC from Bitcoin. But you have to presume, of course, that we really haven't broken the trend, short of just breaking out of this pattern. If we just zoom out for context, the price action could very easily come back down to this level. And if the market does turn bearish, we don't want to necessarily be sitting on our hands waiting for the long plays to line up. We want to have a short play we can use as well. And a lot of our short sets have been playing out really nicely at the moment. So let's trade some of that fear if the opportunity arises. But a couple of entrances at 0.28 and a little bit high up, and maybe about 0.2823 for a potential Tron TRX short play. And it looks something like that. But for more winning setups like this, please consider subscribing, and also hit that like button and let us know in the comments what altcoins you're thinking of trading. We also have a private group you can join that posts charts like this throughout the week. But that's it for now. You can catch James on Sunday for his weekly stocks and commodities live stream. It's really great. And you can also check out my crypto focus live stream from yesterday. Definitely worth a watch in case you missed it. And I'll of course be back on Tuesday with Bitcoin update. But take care for now.